everyone, it's Rashni. Happy Veda Day 14. I knew what day I was on because I checked it on my laptop, which is sitting right here on my lap. You get it? Laptop, right? Today's video is actually one that I had planned to do a long time ago. Several months ago, we in the natural hair community lost two very prominent players in the same week. The first being Domineque, who was Long Hair Don't Care 2011 here on YouTube, who passed away after complications from lupus. The second was Karyn Washington, empowerment blogger of For Brown Girls Only, who took her life after a bout of depression brought on by the sickness and eventual death of her mother. After Karyn passed away, I did a blog post about both ladies, and my heart was to actually do a video, which I never got around to doing. This week, we lose the irreplaceable, the incomparable Robin Williams to suicide. We also find out that he had been struggling with depression for his entire life, and we just found out a little while ago from his wife that he had early onset Parkinson's disease. The thing about Robin Williams' death that is prompting me to finally do this video is, as with any celebrity or prominent person who has decided to take their own life, it brings the discussion of mental health into the public forum and the spotlight. And you guys know that I have been discussing mental health issues, specifically depression, here on my channel and on my blog for years and years and years. I have been extremely transparent with you guys, and I've grown in my transparency over the years. I tell you guys more and more and more. And I just really have a heart toward people knowing that they are not alone, and for empowering and inspiring women who can look into their computer screen or their phone or wherever they're watching me and realize that they can make it too. So as I did on my blog when Don Cornelius took his own life, and when Lee Thompson Ott took his own life, and when designer Loren Scott took her own life, and when Karyn Washington took her own life, and now when Robin Williams took his own life, I am finally here to do a video about a few tips that I can give to those who may be suffering with depression. Disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. I am not a therapist. I started a psychology degree and didn't finish it. So please, please, please take everything I say with that understanding and know that I am just a young lady who was diagnosed with depression over a decade ago and has developed some tools to manage it along the way. The first thing I'd recommend is to figure out if you're actually feeling depression or you just kind of have the typical blues, because it is not the same thing. I believe for it to be characterized as depression, your feelings of sadness and despair and despondency and hopelessness and lack of energy all have to be present for 2 weeks or more. So I will look up more information on this, and I will put it right here on the screen for you guys, as well as any links I can find down below. But first off, just figure out if it's just a situational kind of I feel sad, or if you are actually dealing with depression. The next thing I do is I would evaluate what could be causing this depression. Is it a chemical imbalance? Is it something that has to do with how you are eating or your vitamin intake, which I believe is a strong component in mine? Is it situational? Did something happen to trigger this depression? Did you lose your job? Are you having marital difficulties? Did you not get into the college that you wanted to? Just really sit down and figure out what was the trigger. If you can't do this on your own because you're feeling too sad, I would recommend talking to your primary care physician, a friend, anyone who can take you to a professional and have them evaluate what could be causing this. Obviously, if it is situational and it is because of an event, that is valid and perfectly normal. And all you have to do at that point is what I like to call sit in that feeling, feel it, wail, cry, kick, mourn, scream, and then after you've gotten all of that out of your system for whatever time period you need, figure out an action plan to move on from there. If it has to do with your food intake, your vitamin imbalances, hormone imbalances, and those sorts of things, I recommend going to your primary care physician or a natural health doctor and getting yourself checked out. I did that recently. I'll put a link to the video where I talk about that down below. and I have seen incredible changes. You've been watching my videos for the past few months. I'm sure that you have noticed that, like, just in general, my affect has gone just up, and I'm kind of back to the rush me that I used to be on all my videos, because before I was really kind of flat earlier in the year, like springtime, because I just was not feeling well. If it's a chemical imbalance, then once again, you need to go and talk to a mental health professional. You start out with a therapist, and they can then refer you, if necessary, to an actual psychiatrist who is the medical doctor who does the prescription of any drugs that you might need. If you're a person like me who does not like to take drugs, then I would strongly recommend that you look into the whole hormonal vitamin, etc., and see if there's a change in you. But ultimately, there's no shame in taking depression medication. I don't want anybody to think that that's what I'm saying. I actually made a video about this in the past. I'll put a link to it down below. And you ultimately have to do what works for you to be able to live a productive and overcoming life. And if for you it's the chemical imbalance, which is valid because your brain is an organ, and like any other organ in your body, it can malfunction, then you need to get the help that you need from the medicines that God gave the doctors to help you. Please, 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 please talk to somebody. Don't just sit at home thinking that you're the only person going through this. You are not. This is the reason why I am here on this camera, putting my business in the streets. I don't need to tell y'all none of this. Do you hear me? I'm sure there are lots of people out there who are smiling and cheesing up in your face here on YouTube, and when they get off the camera, they cry and eat their feelings and wail and moan, and they only show you the good side. I am always going to show you guys the real deal, and it's kind of a selfish reason why I'm doing it. I just had lunch with Patricia, God's Design, here on YouTube, and she said to me that it was therapeutic to her to kind of talk about stuff on video. And y'all know that I have my free therapy video series, and it's not free therapy for y'all, it's free therapy for me. Yes, boo, because them suckers cost money. And so I tell you guys these things because I want somebody to be watching me on their phone. I want somebody to see me in their home. I want somebody who's afraid to go talk to a therapist to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. It has changed my life. And I'm just trying to tell you that there can be laughter, there can be light. You do not have to pretend like all is well when you're outside the house and then come inside, roll yourself up in a blanket and just cry until you fall asleep. That is not the only option. There are other resources besides therapists that you could start out if you need to immediately talk to somebody. There are all sorts of hotlines, especially if you or anyone you know is suicidal or has spoken about taking their life. There are immediate hotlines that you can talk to where you can pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody who will walk you through what you need to do next, or just listen to you. I have lists and lists of these hotlines and these resources. I will put links to all of that down below. Know that you do not have to be okay. Let's say you have been reaching out, but you've been reaching out to like your social circle and your family and friends, and they're acting like they're sick of listening to you. They don't want to hear your wah-wah. You always whining, why you can't be happy about nothing. And you have a legitimate bout of depression. You're not just having like the sad blues. You really are crying out for help, and everybody's making it seem like you should be over it right now. You know, yeah, I know you lost your job, but you should be over it. Yeah, I know your marriage ended, but you should be over it. Yeah, I know you're having trouble getting pregnant, but you should be over it by now. Yeah, I know you lost your baby, but you should be over it. Yeah, I know your mom died, but you should be over it. Listen, they do not know what they're talking about, okay? They are not God, and you need to find somebody who's willing to listen. Whether it's a different person in your social circle, whether it's another human being in your family, whether it's a kind ear in a therapist or a hotline, you don't have to be okay. Life is not easy. And the people who try to make it seem like it is on Instagram and Facebook, straight flexing with their little perfect selfies that they took 50 shots to get that perfect selfie, and all their little fake whatever, trying to show you just the good parts of their life, they're not showing you when they're not okay. And they may have a quicker bounce back than you do, but that does not make what you're feeling invalid. Yes, there are times when you have to learn how to kind of not sit in that pit and come up out of it. But if you haven't learned that yet, I encourage you to reach out to a professional who can teach you how to do that. And know that those people that are telling you that you should be okay by now do not know what they're talking about. If you do find a therapist and they're not a good fit, please do not give up. Remember that there are other therapists out there and you can try another person. That is just the nature of the beast. And so keep going until you find a therapist relationship that is a good fit for you. Try and find a support group. For several months last year, I went to a mom support group. It was for mothers who were dealing with postpartum depression. And even though at the time I didn't feel like I was dealing with postpartum depression, I kind of started going and I just felt better while I was going. And actually earlier this year, I thought about going back to the group. It was wonderful just to sit in a room of non-accusatory people who weren't telling you you should feel better just now and just lay your burdens down. So you should call your hospitals and find out. That's where I would start. You can Google it online, see if there are any support groups for whatever it is that you're feeling, whether it's a depression support group, a mom support group, if you deal with anxiety, if you have a medical problem, like my son has spina bifida, so I'm part of a spina bifida moms group, and just anything like that, I would suggest you do. And the last thing I would encourage you to do is to pray about your situation. Now, I know people tell me this all the time. They're like, pray about it, have you prayed about it, have you prayed about it? And a lot of times when you're going through something, you have a tendency to get all riled up and your neck hair stand up when people tell you that, because you're like, ah. If nothing else, praying can be cathartic for you because you are talking to God and you're laying those things off of your mind, and it gives you an ability to just talk to him. And of course, I believe that he can do something about the situation. Those are the tips that I could suggest to you guys right now when dealing with depression. I'm sure there are so much more, but unfortunately my camera battery is trying to die on me. I'm trying to wrap this video up. Please, by all means, leave any more tips that you can think of down in the comment section of this video. And as always, please subscribe to this channel. I put up natural hair, beauty, mental health, life, and special needs parenting videos, plus much more. And this month I am doing Veda, which is vlog every day in August, so you should look out for a video from me tomorrow. And thumbs up this video if you liked my tips. This is a difficult subject, but I know that I am helping someone. I hope that I am helping you. So with that, until tomorrow, be encouraged. Bye, y'all.
Who the Lord has called me to be. No more trying to look like somebody else. Yeah, said I gotta be me. Yeah, said I gotta be. I gotta